How's it going, everyone? We are joined by Naath today. How are you this morning?
I am doing very well, my friend. Thank you kindly. Yourself and all your listeners, I hope you're doing well.
I am
Thank you
doing
for
well.
having me and
I
giving me
appreciate
the blessing to share some of my story and path.
I appreciate you being willing to do so. I'm doing very well. It's a beautiful morning. The sun is just coming up, and I hear the birds chirping outside. So it sounds like the world is
Lovely.
ready to keep turning.
Lovely. It's 11:55 p.m. It's almost midnight here.
I
So
see.
it's the perfect timing for me. My family are all sound asleep and my mother's not going to ring during the day. No one's going to ring and distract me. So everyone has my undivided attention.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us how long you've been practicing for.
I officially started practicing when I was, well, look, I started practicing when I was 15, okay? Um, then by the time I was 19, around 19. Well, in fact, it was 19. It
Mhm.
was just after my it was just after my birthday I had my first kind of experience, and that was when I felt that my path was improving.
Mhm.
Okay. Um but it didn't really take shape until I probably turned around 25 was when I really started to see the fruitions taking place.
Mhm.
And then around 30, when I was about 30 or 35, between 30 to 35, approximate, um, I guess that was when I became adept, as you could call it.
Okay,
It's a little cold here, so I got my scarf all wrapped around me.
that's okay. So what got you interested in the first place, if you don't mind sharing that with us?
Okay, now I need to break that down into a couple of little subcategories, if that's okay.
Sure.
Firstly, when we're born, we're indoctrinated into this mundane society, okay?
Mhm.
Where we are programmed, it's almost to the point that it's in our genetics now to have to have this Abrahamic Judeo-Christian Islamic concept, okay, of what's right, what's wrong, what's blameworthy, what's not, etc., etc. And I could never swallow that, okay? There had to be something more. So I could never swallow the concept of just this one God. Now, if this almighty God, okay, wanted the whole world to follow his religion, yeah, why were these prophets only sent to what's called the Hijaz or the Arabian areas? Okay. What about the dude that was in China? What about the dude that was in Bangladesh
Mhm.
or Egypt or wherever it was at the time? You know, there's got to be more to it. So my mind started to think, and then I discovered I was actually given the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. My God, I read it. I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but I only loved it for its blasphemy and its inverted nature.
Sure.
Okay, really, it's nothing but a showpiece. It's like Shakespearean gibberish. It's this. Now, I don't mean to offend any listeners, viewers. I don't want to offend. So anything that I say during this interview is purely only my opinion. It is not the brother's opinion conducting the interview. It is my opinion. So no backlashes. So I discovered the Anton LaVey, okay, and to me, I thought it was just absolute nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense, excuse my language. And I was like, how can people believe this? And then I discovered Crowley, and I was like, no, this is just more gibberish. This is just more gibberish. And and my whole mind was thinking, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something different. There's got to be something more. There's got to be something different. And I always have had dark side, okay? So I always wanted the absolute sinister in everything, the absolute darkest draconian in everything. I won't lie, my magic was just purely evil. Alright? And that's all I wanted. I come from a life of abuse, trauma, torture, addiction, violence, crime, incarceration. You name it, I've been there, I've done it. Okay. Where's this holy God? Now, I'm sorry if this is triggering for somebody or anybody. Where was this holy than thou fucking God and your Nazarene when I was a victim of a child pornography ring from the age of 4 to 7.5 years old? Yeah. Where was your fucking Nazarene when I was being beaten relentlessly for hours by my stepfather? Where was your fucking Nazarene, etc., etc., etc.? And that's only my story, and listeners out there have their own stories, yeah, and their own hardships. So my hardships are my hardships. They're no different than yours, my friend. The only difference is that they're yours, okay? We're all tested the same ways, man. It's just differently, all right? So my trauma, unfortunately, by nature, pushed me towards darkness. And my upbringing pushed me towards darkness because it only ever filled me with negativity and hate. Yeah.
Right.
So I became a skinhead.
Mm.
I became a satanic skinhead.
Mm.
And then it just all fell, that scene just all fell to shit, alright? Basically, it was rebellion. It was rebellion just to be the darkest, hateful, most cruelest person that I could. So I always searched for dark magic. And I found a couple of different particular covens that are out there that I'm not going to mention that fulfill those dark needs. But eventually there has to be light.
Mm.
So my anger towards the world pushed me towards magic, I guess, is the answer to the question, to sum it all up. And
Okay.
my rebellion to the world, I'm very misanthropic. Okay. So, and I had no choice to be born into this shitpile humanity and endure what I was enduring, just like you,
Mm.
and everything that you went through, and everything that our listeners are going through, or have been through, or
Mm.
are going to go through. This is where magic comes in. It
Mm.
will change your life. And that's a question later on that we'll get to.
Mm. Certainly.
Next
So,
question, my friend.
what are some of your most common practices, reflecting on your philosophy and your beliefs and your practices? What are sort of some of the fundamental practices that outline what makes
That's
your
a
practice your
tremendously
practice?
large That's a massive question and an awesome question. It's an equally awesome question, but wow, it's a big one. I'll try to break it down into a nutshell. My pantheon, okay?
Mhm.
Basically, my pantheon is everything and anything and all things, okay? The gods of yesteryears and other epochs or eons or civilizations, thousands, hundreds of whatever. It's the same gods. Okay. Now, over time, era, and most importantly, geographical location and linguistical needs and linguistical changes. In other words, change of languages because of the locations. These deities took on different names.
Hmm.
A brief example, very brief example. You can take Inanna.
Mhm.
Okay. A manifestation, a different manifestation of her is Lilith, or Lilitu. Another manifestation is Kali.
Some would say
Another man.
Ishtar and Astaroth as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely good. Okay, you're educated, you know, into it. All right, cool. I
I
don't
try
need
to
to
be.
go too deep. No, that's great. That's fantastic. It makes my life easier too. Um, Another manifestation, you could even go far as Elizabeth Bathory, you know.
Interesting. Interesting.
For those listeners that don't know who Elizabeth Bathory was in a nutshell, she was the in the causal world, I guess you could call her the consort of Dracula. The consort of Vlad Dracul, the female equivalent of Vlad Dracul, Vlad the Impaler, Dracula.
Mhm.
You know. And she was notorious for bathing in the blood of children that she would kidnap,
Mm.
torture, and feed upon, and she would have her servants help her do it. She was a countess. She was of noble blood and from a royal family in old Slovakia, which is now what people would call parts of Hungary. Okay, and Vladimir, he was over next door in Romania,
Mm.
basically both trying to fight off the Abrahamic Muslims. Essentially, essentially,
Mhm.
but that's a whole different subject. So my pantheon is every god.
Mm.
I know. Okay, the names change for different manifestations in their regions,
Mhm.
or for the needs and purposes of the civilization at the time. Okay. Especially you find that within the Hinduism.
Mm.
Why there's so many gods?
Mm.
No, it's all the same God. They're just different manifestations. Okay. Essentially, I'm breaking it down for layman terms.
Mm.
So my pantheon is it ranges very deeply, okay, and it's heavily influenced by the jinn,
Okay.
which you could linguistic difference is the Kiploth,
Mm.
okay, or you want to go to Hindu and with the Vedics, They called them Rakshasas, or they called them Asuras.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same thing.
Sure.
Now, so my influences are also quite broad, but essentially I specialize in what I call and what I coined sinister Sufism
Mm-hmm.
and a causal agorism.
I love that. I love
Oh.
alliteration.
And to break that down for anyone that doesn't understand, I have mastered the art of Sufism. I spent many years, many years abroad, traveling, studying with masters at the feet of masters of Sufism, sheikhs, okay, or murshids, spiritual leaders, yogis, gurus, but in the Islamic sense, a sheikh, okay? And I'm not talking about these ass wipes that you see on the internet that have big followings, okay? No. No, they're carnival folk. They're the Anton LaVeys of the world of Sufism, okay? They're
Sure.
jokes. They're jokers. The real Sufis are sitting in villages in caves, and you don't even know who they are. You got to find them, and they're very hard to find. They find you,
Mm.
and then they will test you just to mess with you. And when you prove worthy, they will initiate you and start to guide you and teach you. That's when you become a student, which is also known as a murid
Mm.
in
Okay.
Arabic. Okay. Now, I took that and over the years mastered it and manipulated it and twisted it and inverted it into the art of the jinn and learning to work with the jinn. Now, some of the Sufi masters out there will teach you about the jinn, but most of them won't
Mm.
because it's considered heresy, okay? And they're afraid of exposure. They're afraid of secrets being disclosed.
Mm.
There's many things, man. Magic's powerful. There's many aspects to it. So I studied that and I spent all up about 25 years studying Islam in great depth, Sufism, in countries, and I lived in countries such as Turkey,
Okay.
Egypt, Sudan, North Sudan, just to clarify that, because they technically are two separate countries. Syria, before the war,
Mm.
Pakistan, and Kashmir.
Mm. That's
But many other
amazing.
countries as well. Oh, and Jordan also. But I was living in remote villages. What's the hardest but the quickest way to learn something?
Immerse yourself in it.
Absolutely, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I packed up my bags and I said, "Hey, babe, we're moving to Pakistan. The fuck we are. Hey, babe, we're moving to Sudan. The fuck we are." So I would go move there for myself for
Mm-hmm.
for months and months on end, and then I would come back and go back and come back and go back and things like this.
Okay.
And it was also a good way to dodge visa applications. But anyway, so that's how I learned, and I learned the Arabic language, and then I learned a little bit of Persian, some Urdu, which is the Pakistani language.
Okay.
I'm currently trying to learn Sanskrit. Because coming to the next practice that I have, I also practice what I have coined a causal agorism. Now, what are the agories? The agories are the left-hand path of God. They're the LHP of Hinduism.
Mhm.
And in fact, even amongst themselves and amongst the Hindus, they refer to them as the left hand of Shiva.
Right. The destroyer, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
So I follow the best of my abilities to the Agori path. Now, the Agoris are very secretive. Okay, so what I do know, I can't even talk about. Okay, people can look into them further themselves. There's a lot of trust in it, and there's a lot of secrecy because they don't want to disclose their miracles. Okay, it's a waste of their energy. It's a depletion of their Shakti, their energy, their inner energy. Okay, they would rather conserve that because they want to be sitting next to Shiva instead,
Sure.
smoking weed. They want to be sitting next to Shiva, smoking weed instead,
Mhm.
being close to him in med. They're not just sitting there smoking weed and drinking alcohol. They're in deep focus and meditation. They're sitting in worlds and realms that we can only not even fathom. Yeah. Celestial worlds, or causal worlds. And this is some opening news that I said that I would share with you. I finally managed to meet an Agori. I finally managed to find one.
Mm.
A very old one who was very sick, but came from an excessively wealthy background and refused all of it and decided to become a sadhu, a mystic. And he gave up his worldly life and he lived in the cemeteries and things like that. But his family eventually brought him back here, much to his disgust. He's not happy about it. And he's agreed to teach me some of the ways and to initiate me and to be my guru. So it'll be finally official. I get to become an Agori. But in saying that, majority of the rituals, practices are illegal, taboo, or highly, highly, highly illegal, like you're going to go to prison for a long time. Illegal. Because which brings me to another practice that I have, which is necromancy.
Mhm.
Okay. The Agori practice necromancy. They're also like Hindu necromancers. Okay. Now, their obsession with the dead is completely different, and that's a subject we don't necessarily need to get into. It's actually a very positive, polite, beautiful love of the dead. It's not sinister. It's not dark at all. It's not dark at all. They sit in the cemeteries, man, so they can be with death because they know where it's coming.
Mhm.
And they know it's going to come. Okay. Now, they want to sit in the cemetery so they can be with death and embrace it. Yeah. Because when they die and death does come, they don't want to come back to this planet. They don't want to come back to this world. They want to be reincarnated at a higher level.
Mhm.
Okay. Because there's higher beings than all of us. They want to come back to the next level reincarnation as a higher being than what they are in this world. They're a fascinating people with a fascinating culture, but yes, they practice necromancy. They practice necrophagia. They some of them even practice necrophilia. Okay. Now, there's some extremities that I'm not willing to even go to, okay? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And yes, they're cannibals. You will see them on the Ganges River sitting there waiting for bodies to float past. And they'll swim out there and bring them back and just sit there and eat them raw. They won't even cook them, they'll just eat them raw on the banks of the river. And they carry skulls around their head on chains,
Mhm.
on necklaces with skulls. Would you like to know why they wear the skulls?
Sure.
Do you know why Mother Kali wears her skulls, her necklace of skulls?
I have meditated on it personally, and it seems very related to cycles and rebirth and sort of.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes, you are. You're on the mark. There's 51 heads
Right.
on the chain that she wears around her neck. Okay. Now, those 51 heads are related to, like you said, cycles, chains, etc., etc., and also the slaying of demons that she conquered to master these rebirth. The story goes for a very long time, but the Agori wear the heads to be basically out of love and adornment for Kali.
Mhm.
Okay, and there will be 51 heads on or 51 beads. Even my beads have 51 beads. They don't have the traditional 108 that a traditional mala set would have. No. And often they will have human bones.
Mhm.
They'll have like 51 fingers hanging around their neck
I've seen
or
that.
51 toes hanging around their neck
Mhm.
with a jawbone with teeth hanging off it and all sorts of grotesque, nasty stuff. They and kapalas, they make drinking cups
Mhm. Yeah.
and candle holders out of human bones, in particular human skulls.
Mhm.
It's all out of love, reverence for the dead. There's nothing dark about it, but I finally met one, and he finally will teach me. I don't know how much, I don't know how blessed I am yet, but he'll teach me. Um, but he's English, he has no English. So his nephew has to translate all of it. He's super old and he's very unhealthy. He's very unwell. Apparently he has major liver problems.
Interesting.
Uh, it was probably due to all that weird alcohol shit, that mixture that they drink when they're fucking in the cemeteries, man.
Mm.
Because they mix human ash with it. They mix blood with it. They mix hashish with it. They mix hallucinogenics with it. That stuff that they carry around in their bottles. That stuff's rocket fuel. That
Yeah.
stuff will mess you up, man. Like, if you were there, for example, and one offered you a drink of it, man, you wouldn't want to take it.
Mm.
Put it that way.
Interesting.
Not unless you were prepared to sit with him for a good 6, 7 hours and have him guide you through it like a shaman.
Yeah, I was gonna say it
It
sounds
will.
very shamanic. Yeah.
It will. They're on different levels.
It's like
They
an
don't want
Agori
to be
ayahuasca.
like. He's like, you're still human.
Hmm.
You're still human.
Hmm.
And so on Saturday, he's like, I'll take the human out of you,
Hmm.
and you become a gory, and you can slowly start. Which is basically, for those out there, it's Hinduism. Okay. Now, my path changed. All right. I started to fall out of love with the darkness, man, because there was no benefit in it. It's just completely draining. Always being in the darkness is completely draining. Alright. And there has to be a balance. You have to have a balance between the both. There has to be the yin and there has to be the yang. There has to be black, there has to be white. But yes, there's also the grey. Okay, that's a whole different section. But then there must be a balance. And a wise man once said to me, the more light you have, the bigger shadow you can cast. Eh? It was something like that he said to me anyway. I was a little high when he said it to me, but it was very wise words. It was very wise words. So my magic is changing. I'm starting to have a lot more of a holistic approach now, and incorporate what some can call white magic. I just call it neutral magic, to keep the balance, the equilibrium, everything in line, so the universe is in line. Yes, I believe in the Dark Lords and I believe in all that. But there has to be the good lords and the lords of goodness as well. There has to be that yang to the yin, and there has to be the yin to that yang. There always has to be an opposite. Even magnets, there has to be a polar.
Right. Exactly. One doesn't exist without the other.
Exactly. That's exactly correct.
Mhm.
And every faith philosophy around the world teaches that, except for one philosophy, the Judeo-Christian, Abrahamic, Islamic system,
Mhm.
where it's only their God, and that's it. No, there's a lot more to it than that, my friend. So I practice necromancy, and that pretty much sums up the essence of what I am. I also have a love for Buddhism, Taoism, Shintoism. I love studying comparative religion. That's a great interest of mine, is
Me too.
comparative religion.
Yeah.
And a great teacher of mine, one of my Sufi teachers, he actually said to me once that you can't understand our path until you understand other paths.
Mhm.
And you have to be certain that this path is what's your path. Even though you're convinced, you have to be certain of it. And you have to understand other people's paths,
Mhm.
you know. Otherwise, it's only ignorance. It's blind ignorance. You're a sheep. You're a mushroom. You know, otherwise you're just a sheep. You have to have freedom of thought. That's very important in our way of life of the occult, is freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and liberation. Complete liberation. And that comes from finding yourself, knowing yourself, being comfortable with yourself. It means knowing your good side, your light side, but it also means knowing your shadow,
Mm.
the shadow side. Everything must have a balance.
Yeah. I reference this quite often, but Jung said that in order for a tree's branches to grow to heaven, its roots must grow to hell. And Dante said that the path to paradise begins in the inferno. So that balance and that integration is necessary.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Absolutely. By the way, for those who haven't guessed my accent, yes, I'm Aussie, and yes, I'm in Australia. I'm located on the southern east coast.
Okay.
Um, on the southern east coast. There we go. That's enough. That's enough about that. That's why I sound weird and strange and funny.
I love the
Um,
Australian accent. No worries.
I don't even hear the American accent anymore because my wife's an American,
Okay.
and I lived in the United States for a while, so
Mhm.
the I don't hear American accents anymore when I talk to people. The only time I hear an American accent is when I watch the stupid idiot television box.
Mhm.
For some reason, then I hear the accent, but when I'm actually conversing with another American, I don't hear the accent.
Mm.
It's kind of strange. What's the next question, my friend?
I'd like to know about what a standard working with the gin or the
Mm,
um
mm.
yeah, what would that look like to you?
They're extremely simple to work with. People need to understand one thing. Many people overcomplicate. They make magic too complex.
Mhm.
Okay, they make it too dramatic. They make it just way too complex.
Yeah.
Okay, um, their altars are like showpieces. Don't get me wrong. You saw my altar. I showed you a personal video of my
Mhm.
altar.
Mhm.
That altar took hours and hours and hours and endless hours to build and design and construct
It
because
shows. It's very beautiful.
every single piece has specific purpose
Mhm.
and its placement has a specific purpose. Okay. So, but you don't need that. It depends. Like, for example, all right, I'll do it. I've got to find it again though, my brother.
You're looking for a coupon?
I'll do it on my lap just simply so you can see it in front of the camera. But just simply imagine that this was on your tabletop, your bench top, your older top, wherever. Fuck, it doesn't matter. Candles are important. Are candles important? Okay, now let me be quickly. Let me invert the Quran so it's upside down. Okay. This is if you want to work with some more sinister jinn, especially. It's more symbolic, I admit, because the Quran is still Abrahamic gibberish. But the jinn and the Qiblath are not, just like the Torah and the First Testament are gibberish. But the Qiblath in the Kabbalah, they're not a gibberish, they're real. So invert the Quran, this will bring the negative jinn.
Mhm.
Candle. Why? Fuck, what older doesn't have a candle, man? You know? Let's face it. But anyway, there's many reasonings for the candles. But this is simply because jinn they're created from fire,
Mhm.
a smokeless fire.
Mhm.
So fire's attracting to them. It's like it'll attract like moths. Okay. Now, the most important part is incense. I'm not going to light it now, okay, because I'm not in a state of mind to do a ritual. All right, I'm just giving a basic example,
Sure.
and it's disrespectful if I was to do it properly. So you would light your incense, place it on top. Now you want as much incense as you can possibly get. You want that motherfucker smoking up so bad that it looks like your house is on fire. Okay?
Okay.
The reason you want that smoke is because jinn come from fire, a smokeless fire.
So they're
They're
attracted to the smoke. Mhm.
absolutely they're attracted to the smoke. They're attracted to the smoke. Now, these jinn, this creation, these beings, as with all beings and creations, celestial, are causal, they're not bound by language like you and I are bound by language.
Sure.
Okay. So people will overcomplicate things and say like, "Oh, the ritual must be done in Arabic," or the ritual must be done in Latin or Spanish or Persian or whatever language. This is rubbish and nonsense. Get this out of your head, people. You only need thought is enough. Okay. But you would like and get that motherfucker smoking up as much as you can possibly get it smoking, man. And just summon them and ask them in any language you wish, and eventually you will develop a relationship. Eventually they will come.
Right.
That's as simple as your altar needs to be.
Right.
Literally, that's as simple as your altar needs to be, man.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
intention.
A lot
It's
of
intention. It's not theater. It's not theater. Go watch fucking Shakespeare or some shit. It's magic. It's not theater.
yeah. I
It's
agree.
intention.
I agree very heavily with two major points. Well, I often say that intention is 9/10 of the issue. So the language and all of that is secondary to the intention. And also, I often always also say that you have to leave space for the spirits. If your altar is so cluttered with your own, you know, preconceived notions, you're creating a border, and obviously, you can create a concentration by stacking correspondences and things. But yeah, like I said, you have to leave space for the spirit on that altar.
Absolutely, you do. That's and as you saw in my altar, the idol itself, there's plenty of space around her,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
you know. And I even surrounded it with mirrors. Why the mirrors? Because we know how beautiful it is. It's so she can see how beautiful she and bask in her own beauty even more and her own reflection even more. And so when her third eye beams off me, onto me, sorry, beams onto me, how many other third eyes am I getting from her manifestations of reflections? Mirrors are, see, everything has thought and intention. There's purpose behind everything on an altar.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't need, like, I even have a little baggie. I got a little tiny bag, man, that I carry, and I put it in my backpack wherever I go. So when I'm in the woods or wherever I go, I can pull it out and just make a little makeshift altar wherever I am.
I love
All I
that.
need is my candle. All I need is some smoke. All I need is my mala beads because I'm a stoner and I lose count of my mantras. So I need to use the beads. That's all you need. Bury a couple of sigils
Mm-hmm.
if you have your own sigil, etc. And it's magic's easy, man. It's not meant to be complicated. It's beautiful.
Right.
It's not meant to be complicated. We've made it complicated.
Yeah, I think we have tended toward intellectualism in our society, and in doing that, we have almost separated ourselves from the intellectual art that is magic. Magic is a very natural art. It comes from that inner inspiration, and as soon as you begin to over intellectualize, you're not doing magic as much as you're doing like math.
Absolutely. That's actually a very good way to explain it, you know. Magic's a spiritual path, okay? If you want to keep throwing obstacles in your path, it's not going to be easy, man, is it? You're going to keep tripping over shit. Simplify it, man, and take the most simple, direct route, the most simple, direct path that you can find.
Yeah, yeah. The path of least resistance oftentimes is the most
Absolutely, the path of least resistance. I was just going to say that. And it takes time. And everything comes back to knowing yourself.
Yes.
Okay, and what works for you.
Yeah.
Okay, my method may not work for you.
Right.
Okay, my channeling methods may be different to your channeling methods. My vibrational methods may be different to your vibrational methods. You know, it's individualities. Not only important, but it's an absolute existence, necessity, core of magic, in my opinion.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. I often say, do what you know and know thyself. And that will
Yeah.
take care of most of the problems.
Yeah, if you want to fly and shit, man, go watch fucking Harry Potter. Like, those things only happen to the truly enlightened. You know, they're very few people. There are very few people that can reach that shit, man.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
been fortunate that I've met some people, man, people that point fingers and move mountains and shit, man. But
Mm.
you can't discuss things that you see because you sworn, yeah, you take a pledge when you become a student of a Sufi scholar.
Yeah. The
You take a
Sufis
pledge.
often talk about not disclosing miracles in public, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the Agoris are extremely strict on that. But Sufism now is it's a fucking trend, man. In the 70s, it became popular. Okay.
Interesting.
And then you got heaps of hippies that wanted to become fucking Sufis, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say the
Okay.
violence of Vietnam probably swung that pendulum the other way.
That's what I'm a victim of.
Mm.
My parents were fucking Sufi hippies.
Mm.
Okay. So they converted to Islam and became Muslim. So I was born into a Muslim family, but I was also born into a family of the occult on my other side of the family. But paganism, Scandinavian, Nordic paganism. Um, Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there, brother. What was my...
We were just talking about how Sufism is sort of a trend as
Oh,
opposed.
yeah, no, it became a trend, man. Especially the whirling dervishes that you can
Yeah.
go see in Turkey.
Mhm.
They're like a laundromat. What do you call it in America?
A laundromat.
What do you
Yeah.
call it?
Yeah, we call it a laundromat, like a dryer.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You
Mhm.
keep putting coins in it and it'll keep spinning. Then motherfuckers will keep turning for the tourists.
Mm.
Stop putting the coin in, the machine stops turning, they'll stop turning.
Like a Ferris wheel.
Like a Ferris wheel, exactly right. Sufism's become a joke and it's become trendy now. And many people did it with Hinduism as well. Fuck these new age hippies, man. These new age spiritualists and stuff, like with their crystals and their... Fuck, they did that too, man. These weird ass new age Hare Krishnas and shit, man. It's a mockery. It's actually is what it is. It's a mockery of the religion itself and its core foundations, man. I believe it's a mockery.
Mm.
I believe it's a mockery. Like, I saw this dude one day, man, at an ashram, and he had all these fucking Hindu tattoos, Sanskrit tattoos all over his fucking face, man. All over his forehead, his cheeks, fucking all over. He looked like an absolute fucking imbecile, man. And he's walking around with flowers on and sandals, and it's like, oh, like, you're a fucking joke. You know, you're an insult to the yogis that spent thousands of years fucking developing this science just so you can come along and be some new age hippie on the weekends. You know, because now it's trendy and cool to be a vegan and shit, man. You know, and that's another aspect of magic that is a negative these days, is this whole new age aspect to it, man.
Yeah.
It's hysterical. It is. It's hysterical, man. Um, we have magic shops here, man, and you go in there and all it is fucking crystals and shit, man, and incense and little statues of Gishnu the elephant, and I'm like, you don't even know what the fuck you're selling, man. It's just for the tourists and the hippies and Christ. Don't get me wrong, I do believe that there is power in crystals. Don't get me wrong, there is crystal work. Yes, there is crystal work. I'm not going to deny that. But New Age hippies have destroyed the occult, especially Wiccanism. Especially the Wiccans, man. They destroyed the poor Wiccans. I feel sorry for the Wiccans. I feel sorry for traditional Wiccans and pagans and druids.
Mm.
Those people destroyed it. All right, next question.
So you've mentioned that you've been to several places like Kashmir and Sudan and Turkey and Egypt and places like this. Of all of
Huh?
those places, if you had to choose one place that you would go and study to receive true enlightenment, out of all of those places, where would you choose?
Hands down, without a doubt, unequivocally, Kashmir.
Hmm.
Kashmir. The
Okay.
yogis there had a saying that when Shiva, because it depends what branch of Hindu you're following, the Shivas, the Vishnus, they all come from the Brahma. But anyway, when he created the earth, he put a divine piece of himself. He took a piece of his third eye
Man,
and put it on earth.
that is beautiful.
And they said that this place is Kashmir. And I kid you not, this place is just stunning. Absolutely mind-blowingly, gorgeously stunning. You can't even begin to imagine how beautiful the jungle was. And I was in an extremely remote area.
Mm.
Extremely remote area. That was fortunate for me to be occupied. Occupied's not the word, but there were Muslims and Hindus that both lived there.
Mm.
At the time, I was staying in a Sufi temple, what is called a zawiya or a dargah. Okay, zawiya or a dargah in Sufi terminology. And most of their practices were at night, okay, because they would sleep and rest and fast during the days and things like this. So I'd be bored during the day, so I'd go hang out with the Hindus, man, and I'd sit and learn with them.
Hmm.
And there was a waterfall behind the temple. Yeah.
Wow.
It was maybe 15, 20 feet high. Like only two or three like full grown humans in height. Okay. So imagine like, so I don't know, 6, 12. Yeah, about say 20 feet. 15, 20 feet. And anyway, it was a beautiful waterfall, man, and it flowed over and it fell into a hot spring. And you'd sit in a hot spring and this waterfall would fall upon you and you'd meditate in it
Hmm.
and do whatever sadhanas the yogis had given their students. And if I was lucky, they'd give me some really basic ones, like just sit here and recite. And I'd do it, and I'd man in the and just it was gorgeous, man. And there was a statue of Shiva behind the waterfall, and at night it would all light up with lanterns and everything. It was just beautiful, man. Just beautiful. And the weed, oh my God, the weed, as you've noticed, yes, I smoke weed. The weed would just grow everywhere in the jungle, man, just wild everywhere. It was just everywhere. But no one knew what it was. The masters knew, but there was a kind of rule of thumb that they never spoke about it because they didn't want people doing it. Now we have the internet.
Right.
Now we have smartphones. So their teenagers are probably doing it now.
Right.
All right. But back then, no, man, no one knew about it except for me. And I asked the yogi, I'm like, is it forbidden? Can I do it? And like all things, man, they answer everything with a question. And he's like, what does your conscience tell you? And that was the only answer he'd give me.
Hmm.
I'm like, fuck, man, that's not an answer. Basically, I was seeking for his blessing to go, yeah, all right, it's cool.
Right. Mhm.
But I took their advice and I didn't touch it because I was there for a spiritual path. I wasn't there for smoking
Humanism.
weed.
Right.
And I loved Kashmir. My teacher passed away whilst I was there. It was a very traumatic ordeal for myself. I was fortunate enough to bury many sigils all over Kashmir. Yes, I have my own sigil. That's a whole nother subject we can get into if you want to at another time, or now even. But anyways, and even at his burial site, I left a couple of my sigils buried with him because I was there for his burial. So there's a piece of me with him still, and that's very sad. It's very sentimental to me. Very sentimental to me. It was a beautiful moment and a life-changing moment for me because when he passed, he gave me something that he didn't give to anybody else. What I mean by that is I'll be very brief, but there were many people in Kashmir that could hold the torch for him.
Right.
Yeah. There was no one in Australia that could teach his message.
Yeah.
They could
There-
spread his message.
There's something
So he
very
gave.
spiritual that happens when a mentor or a guru of you dies. It's like a DNA activation or an upgrade or a download or something, a
It is an
spiritual activation.
absolute upgrade. It's an upgrade, and energies, their Shakti, their energy leaves them
Right.
and,
Right.
and comes to you. Or certain pieces of their energy, fragments of their energy.
Yes.
And their energy could be given, some other parts given to other people,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
Very rarely will one of these guides give you all of their energy. You just have a complete fucking overload. You put that, you're certifiable, man. They'd put you in a mental institution immediately. You just become crazy. You couldn't deal with it. These people spend their entire lives mastering these arts. And I've spent I'm 45 now. I've been doing it since I was, say, 19. And I'm still only a baby in them. I'm still only a drop in the ocean, you know. And anybody that thinks of themselves any differently is full of shit. Because they've, first of all, they've let their ego get involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the keys to magic is you have to remove your ego.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to break yourself. And when I mean break yourself, I mean completely break yourself to the point of just in every way possible desensitize yourself to everything. Just completely break yourself so you're nothing.
So you can become a vessel.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And you empty yourself, and that yourself will purge. And this can take time. And for me, it ended up one day being at the feet of my teacher crying like a baby. I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. You're killing me here, man. You're breaking me. Like, you've worn me to an absolute nub. There's nothing left I can do. I can't give you any more. I'm sorry.
And then
I
he says,
gotta.
congratulations.
And that was when he initiated me. Literally. You know, it was when I was literally in tears at his feet. Like, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. And I'm very much a believer in master and student. You know, this
Yeah.
is essential. This is
Sacred
essential.
relationship. Yeah.
It's very much a sacred relationship. And I was very blessed to have it with two individuals. And they changed my life very much. Very life changing, the both of them. Most of my, what you would call academic sort of Sufi studies were done in Turkey.
Okay.
Okay. The academia sort of side of it. And I also had a very close relationship with my teacher there, and he passed away as well. And I was very fortunate that he gave me gifts when he left also. Very fortunate. Many people don't have that, and I was blessed to have two. So maybe I did something right in a past life. So I did something good to have two guides, man. I don't know. But my path's incomplete. We never know. Tomorrow could be something completely different. But yeah, you need to break yourself to an absolute nothingness so you can rebuild strong and healthy, spiritually, physically, mentally, medically, dietary. Everything needs to be healthy, and then rebuild from that. And you have to know how to love yourself and be comfortable. But what I mean by love yourself is not this new age hippie shit.
Mm.
Loving yourself is being comfortable in yourself, knowing who
Right.
you are, what you are,
Right. Accepting
having
the
any
shadow.
accepting your shadow, not having any remorse for it,
Mhm.
because there's no blame. You're just you, and be comfortable being you, not what society or TikTok wants you to be, what you are in your core. And how do you do that? By being alone with yourself. Most people can't pass that stage. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. Yeah. Like I said to you earlier, I've had a couple of students over the years. One of the first things I do is I'll put them in a room, man. You got to sit. and you'll break them. See how long they can deal with it.
Yeah, that's the first thing I do, because if they can't get past that, then I'm not gonna waste my time with the rest.
Basically, if you can't do under 2 hours, man, I'm not going to waste any time with you. 2 hours would be the bare minimum before I'd even think about. And depending on their age and their advancement, how they are in the path, anyway, I
Right.
guess. But you should be able to sit in a room by yourself for a good 3-4 hours easily,
Oh yeah.
and not and not be, oh fuck, I'm bored, or fuck man, oh, I wish there was something else I was doing.
Or what is
You
so and
know,
so up to?
exactly, like, be able to sit there with yourself, man,
Yeah.
and just think. You will think about all sorts of weird ass stupid shit.
Or learn how
Half of
to
it.
not think so much as well. To learn to silence the mind as well.
That's what I was trying to get to, and that's a whole different. That's real hard, man. Killing that silence
Hmm.
is really difficult, and for this, you need basic to sit with yourself and be comfortable. I highly recommend meditation.
Right.
Very basic, rudimentary, basic meditational techniques. Very basic tantric yoga techniques, breathing techniques, just so that you know how to be able to sit there with yourself and be comfortable and focus and meditate. Yeah. Because if you can't focus and meditate upon your deity or your ritual that or your mantra that you're trying to perform or do, you're not showing it respect. So where's the magical power in that?
And you're bleeding the focus and the energy too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's magic changed my life in every way, man. It's
Hmm.
just amazing how it's.
Right.
Next question, because I think we got on a tangent.
That's okay. This is just a free form
No, you're cool,
discussion.
man. I got all night. I'm just saying that was
Okay.
all. I lost my train of thought. I lost
Some
my
of
train of
these
thought
some
too.
of these questions are very easy to answer. They say in this tradition, one book opens another, and one sentence opens another.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely, it does. That's the thing, man. Like, you sit there with a teacher,
hmm.
a guru, a sheikh, or a teacher in a dark path, or whatever your pantheon or tradition may be. Yeah, man, you ask a question, fuck, man, you only want an answer, but you get 10 other answers to 10 other questions, and they know and they know the following questions that are going to precede it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they know.
I
They
guess
know.
I guess one thing that I would just sort of supplement with what you said about removing the ego. Um, a lot of times for me, I suggest it's not so much about, and this is perhaps what you meant, but it's not so much about removing the ego as much as removing your attachment to it and placing it under the
Yes,
service of the
yes,
higher
yes,
will.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I had a feeling
That's a
that's what
much
you meant.
better way to put it. Thank you. You clarified it more clearly. That's, yes, thank you. Um, what was the next question, my brother?
The next question would be, how important are materials in your specific practice currently?
Can you define what you mean by materials?
Physical objects used in ritual or ceremony.
Okay. Yes and no, 50-50. Sometimes they're needed, sometimes they're called for, sometimes they're not.
And
For
what sort of
example,
materials? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
for example, if you're doing a destruction ritual,
Hmm.
yeah, usually you're gonna need tangible touch edibles. items, you know, bone, an item of the person's hair, a tooth, a photograph, or something. You need images, okay? Or you need something, you need something tangible,
Hmm. Hmm.
okay? You need the candle to burn. You need all sorts, or however you do your art. But say vibrational magic, you don't need anything. You just need to be able to sit with yourself.
Right.
Again, you need to know how to sit with yourself, but that's all you need. You don't need anything. Because your gods and your deities are with you everywhere you go. Okay. It's not a matter of channeling them or summoning them. They're already with you.
It's coming into
It's
attunement with them. Right.
it's like it's just becoming in tuned.
Mhm.
Learning how to tune yourself into them is the key to it. That's the key to it. They're always with us. So you don't always need physical, materialistic items in your witchcraft. No, not necessarily. Um, Obviously, crystal works. Yeah, you need crystal. You need magics. You need
So it
whatever
depends.
crystals
It
you.
depends on the working, basically. Is it seems
Absolutely,
like.
it depends on the working. It depends on the working.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of my work, I don't need material items, and I've learned and been trained how to necessarily not need them. But I've been trained how to use them all so you can be comfortable with it. They're like training wheels as well.
Yeah,
They can also be like training wheels. Yeah,
certainly.
very much so. Especially the theatrics of it and the theatre of ceremonial theatre and things like that. That increases your passion, your hisbah, your
Hmm.
drive, your shakti, your energy.
Hmm.
You know, this is about the only good thing you get from LeVay and things like that. Like the theatre work is awesome, man. Like, yeah, it increases you. It does. Like, if that's your thing, yeah, go with that whole Luciferian thing. But myself personally, I don't believe in any form of Abrahamic God. So how can I believe in an Abrahamic Lucifer? Okay.
That makes sense.
That's only my opinion. That's only my opinion. That's only my opinion. I do a lot of vibrational work. That's very powerful to me. Very, especially in mantras. Especially in mantras. And wimphiric work, I call it wimphirism, like I call it psychic vampirism.
Mhm.
You don't need any items. Once you're trained, you just know. You just go sit in food court at the local shopping mall. You know, that's all you need.
Or a traffic jam.
Or a traffic jam, fuck. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. Or a traffic jam.
Just
And you
saying.
just sit there and feed off everyone. But then you need to understand, what are you feeding on? Are you trying to feed off their good, or are you trying to feed off their evil?
Right.
And why? You know,
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
to understand
Learning how
why.
to filter and transmute that energy is essential. I would say before you start getting into that, learning how to recognize your own energy versus someone else's, learning how to transmute things from negative into positive aspects. There's actually a specific mudra that I've developed for that act of consuming, transmuting, and integrating the energies. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's very simple.
Mhm.
It can be very simple. Like my wife, she's going away for a few days. Yeah, she's going away for 3 or 4 days, and she was completely losing her shit.
Mm.
Completely losing her shit. And she asked me, babe, can you come sit next to me? And I knew what she meant. She wanted me to come sit next to her and hold her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And we just sat there for 15, 20 minutes. I took all of her energy. I feel like shit for it, but she was fine, you know, like feeding's very important. They call it vampirism, but that's only because people want to look all dark and
It's
creepy. And
it's tantra, it's pranayama, it's qigong.
exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. These sciences have been around for thousands and thousands of years. The Vedics were around, like, if I'm right, like 300,000 something years before fucking Jesus, man, before their Nazarene. They've been around. They've been around a long 30 years, 30,000 years or something. Sorry, it's a bit more realistic, I think. But they've been around a very long time.
Eons, certainly.
They're the oldest known religion on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
They're them and the Aboriginals in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually onto some shit as well. If people out there don't know much about the Indigenous Aboriginals in Australia,
Dreamtime.
yeah, you know, try and have a little. I highly recommend looking into their pantheon a little bit, man.
Mm-hmm.
They were onto some shit, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in regards to celestial visitors, celestial beings come down,
Oh yeah,
and their dream time and all sorts of things, man. They were onto shit, man.
absolutely.
The Aboriginals and the Sumerians are the oldest known civilizations on Earth.
Yes, and they both have references to celestial um, contact, more whether it's astral or celestial.
I can't remember which text it's in, okay? So viewers forgive me. But there is a Vedic text.
Hmm. Is it the Mahabharata?
Where where it talks about the aliens coming down and giving them instructions on how to build spaceships.
I think that might have been the Mahabharata. I could be wrong.
It is the Mahabharata. Thank you. It is. They were in touch with aliens fucking 100 years, 1,000 years ago. You know, like, it's just craziness.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
So were the
much of that.
Aztecs.
Go ahead.
So were the Aztecs.
Mhm.
So were the Aztecs. So were the ancient Egyptians.
I always wonder.
Shit.
I always wonder. Sorry to interrupt. I just every time someone brings up like pyramids and Aztecs and Egyptians, I always wonder if we have gone so far into the future that we've learned how to contact ourselves from the past and show ourselves how to live in large colonies while still living in natural harmony with nature, because we don't need all these skyscrapers and buses
No.
and things if we have pyramids and irrigation and things like that. So I'm not sure how much is extraterrestrials, how much it's astral intercommunications, and how much it is us coming from the past, or perhaps a combination of these things.
Yeah, man, I'm on that path as well. Like, the possibility, we don't know, dude. Ultimately, we don't know.
Mhm.
We don't know. No one does. But like, you even look at the Druids.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like, even they had contact. You know,
Yep.
it's there's many levels of beings. Okay, for example, you have the lower beings. They're people like animals. They're not people. They're creations like animals. Okay, they're there to serve us. They're to serve nature for its purposes, and they're there to serve us for sustenance and our needs. animals. Okay? That's not saying we don't have to be humane and show them kindness. Of course we do.
Sure.
Then you have the human, say us. Okay? These regular humans. They're just a little bit above. I don't like this word woke because, fuck, man, it's taken on a whole new thing now. And I don't even like the word awake. So let's just say then you, after the humans, you have the aware,
The conscious.
the conscious. That's people like you and me. We're aware. We're trying. We're practicing. We're doing our best. Might be a little bit lost. We don't quite know where we're going, but we're trying and we're doing our best. That's the aware. Then you have the enlightened. They're the ones that know what they're doing. They're the ones that have found their path. They know what they're doing. They know their direction. And then above that, you have supreme beings. They're the ones that they're no longer human anymore. They've transformed. They're no longer bound by space. They're no longer confined by time. They're in the acausal. And when you're in the acausal, our time stops. What's time? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Seconds, yeah? But who's to say it was that? Who said it was 1 Mississippi? What if it was 1 Timbuktu, 2 Timbuktu, 3 Timbuktu, 4 Timbuktu, or 1, 2? Who says what time? Who made what time we go? No, there's no such thing as time. In the causal, there's no thing. It bends, it manipulates, it becomes obsolete.
Yeah. I think about it like if you were to take a film, like a movie, and stretch out the reel to where you could surround yourself with the entirety of the reel of the film. That is sort of how the acausal plane probably seems. That they can see any amount of it or multiple parts of it at once, so to speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And these people, they're in these realms. Okay. This is why you look at some of these monks, yogis, sheikhs, gurus, and things, and they're like 140, 150 years old, and you're like, how the fuck do you live that long? And these monks in Tibet that live like fucking forever, man. Why? Because their whole life has been in sadhana. Their whole life has been in meditation and in practice. And they've spent most of their life in the causal, so time has bent for them. Time has changed for them. Time hasn't become an enemy for them like it does with us.
And I would supplement that also with perhaps living in harmony and the holistic nature of their existence is such a degree that they don't create resistance against their own time.
I'll tell you a little secret. I can't go into a lot of details and I won't go into a lot of details. Among the Agori, there's what's called the Maha Agori, like the Great Agori, the Big Agori. These aren't your regular Agoris that you see sitting in the fucking streets in fucking Bangalore or New Delhi and shit. They're show pony Agoris that are making money, okay? Just like the Sufis whirling dervishes in Turkey. They're making money. And half of those agories aren't even agories. They're just beggars for tourists making money off them, all right?
Yeah.
All right. Um, and you have the Maha Agori. They're the real Agori. They're the ones that you don't see. They're the ones that live in the shadows. Agori, Gahor means fear.
And A means not.
Agori means the unfearful, the one who has no fear. So you won't see them, and they certainly won't display their magic. And there's some of them that are not like us. I won't lie. They are no longer human. Some of these people are 10, 12 feet tall. Okay? You won't see them. They won't come out. They live in the shadows. And not only do they live in the shadows, but they live in the jungles. And I'll let you use a bit of imagination why I mentioned the jungles again. The jungles of Kashmir. They're around. And if you're lucky, you might get a glimpse of them. And they're scary as fuck. But I'll tell you, I will be honest with you. When I was in Kashmir, I had no physical interaction with an actual Agori, okay? Because they're an extreme minority there. Normally they're up in northern India, all right? But there were some, yes. And there were myths. Like, you know how we would call them like fucking Bigfoot or the Yeti? That's what they were, man, to the locals over there. They were like Bigfoots, man. They were urban myths and creatures that existed in the woods. But the difference is they were real. And they were like 12, 13 feet tall, these motherfuckers, man.
Hmm.
I only saw one once. I only saw one once from a distance. And there was more. There was a couple of others. They were probably going to a pilgrimage or a homemade fucking temple or some shit or a cave or something that they were living in. But I only saw one man with a stick, and he was really fucking skinny, man. But he had a bald head. He didn't have dreadlocks, man. Usually they have dreadlocks. This one didn't have fucking dreadlocks or long hair at all. From what I could tell, he had no hair. And he was only in the distance, and it was broad daylight, so I could see him very clearly. I could see him very clearly. I could see him very clearly. But I couldn't make out like facial distinctions or anything like that. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't that close. Um, and even in Tibet, there's rumors of these people as well. The Agoris, like the sadhus in Tibet and in the Himalayas, there's rumors of such people as well. These giants, man. We used to exist as giants. Even in China, man, you look in China, the ancient Chinese were giants, man. They were massive. Oh, fucking massive, man. And even when there's even pictures you can find it on the internet, man, where the Nazis found Chinese giants, man, and they're taking photographs next to these giants, and these giants were like 15, 20 feet tall. We're not the only, my point being is we're not the only things that exist.
Right. Right.
and we can transform ourselves. We can transform ourselves. And there's some scary shit out there. But what's scary and what's not scary, it's only what we're programmed to think. It's only what we programmed to think.
That cultural conditioning that needs to be challenged.
Yeah, thank you. Cultural conditioning is a cancer. We need to have absolute freedom. Like, for example, my son, he's well aware of all my practices. He knows exactly what I am, what I do. I don't hide anything. But he also has complete freedom of choice to do whatever the hell he wants to be. If he wants to be a Muslim, he can be a Muslim. If he wants to be a Jew, he can be a Jew. If he wants to be a Buddhist, he can be. I don't give a fuck what he wants to be. As long as he's productive and he's spiritually healthy. That's all I care about, man.
Right. Right. Balance.
Balance. Balance. He leans more towards a paganistic sort of approach, as does my wife. I was always like a non-satanic Satanist. I always wanted that sort of dark fucking, and I got trapped in that for many years. And we had a previous discussion. I was trapped in yeah, it's taken me a long time to get out
Yeah. That
because you
ideology
have
can be very cancerous. Go ahead.
the occult, okay, but you also have cults.
Mhm. Yeah, certainly.
You know,
Mhm.
but people on the they oh, it sounds cool, man, to like the cult of Atazoth or some shit. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It just sounds cool, but no, man. There's cults and there's cults.
Right.
All right, and I won't lie, I was in a cult. I was in a straight up cult, and a very detrimental one at that. And it was a part of my path, though. I had to go through it. I had to go through that abyss to where I'm at now. Now I'm all about balance. I'm all about balance. And you can find that you don't have to be evil to be in the occult, man, or in this world. Like, for example, Maribus.
Mm.
He's a beautiful divine demon, man. Beautiful
Absolutely.
for protection work,
Radiant. Hmm.
healing work, protection, especially healing work, man.
Very much so. Yes. I work with Marbus and Buer a lot. Most of my work that I do is healing work, and Marbus and Buer both have been uh, extremely helpful in those regards.
And he's one of the fucking kings of hell. He's got like what 30 legions or something under
Something like
him.
that. Yeah. He sort of reminds me of a Rakshasa, that like lion-esque, demon presence.
Oh, what's it's Ravasinga.
Hmm.
I think it's Ravasinga. I may have the name wrong. Is the Hindu equivalent of Marbras.
Okay.
The you'll have to check the spelling though, man. Because it's Navasinga in Hindi, but I can't remember exactly what it is in Sanskrit. I think it's a little different.
Hmm.
Because Hindi is like Sanskrit's like the lost version of Hindi. It's an ancient language. It's not
Sure.
no
Yep.
longer used. It's like obsolete now.
To some.
So you have, except for in religious texts, basically.
Like the Mahabharata and Vedic texts.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Vedics, man, I highly encourage learning about the Vedics, man. They're an amazing civilization, culture. I'm obsessed with them. I'm absolutely obsessed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm obsessed with them. Um, but their path has been extremely beneficial to me. Some of their path I keep traditional. Some of it I've manipulated for my own reasonings.
Right.
You know, like before, if I want to, you manipulate it. Like if I wanted to work with a good gin or encourage some nice gin, I would have had the Quran on the proper way up. I wouldn't have inverted it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have had it on a nice cloth somewhere out of respect. I wouldn't have put anything on top of it. The candle and the incense would have been next to it, not on top of it, out of respect. Like, so the manipulation's a huge aspect, but first you have to have a traditional education. You have to have some formal background before you can start manipulation.
Yeah, you have to understand the rules before you can break them. That way, you know how and when
Absolutely,
and where to break them.
absolutely, absolutely. And there's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trial and error. I like, oh fuck, this didn't work, or damn it, it didn't work again, or damn it, it didn't work again.
Or it worked the
30th,
opposite of how I wanted it to.
yeah, and then on the 30th time, you're like, oh, okay, I'll try it this way, and then bang, it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like again, it's finding you because everyone's individual.
Right.
My relationship with Marbus is not the same as yours.
Right.
And your relationship with Carly is not the same as mine. Follow what I'm getting at?
I do.
Everyone's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's unique. Every, everyone, yeah. Individuality is huge.
I agree.
Like you were saying to me earlier, if you want to be cool and you want to get all these magical degrees, go to the dojo down the road, man, because they're handing out black belts after 6 months. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like you said. But if you want to learn the real art, go down to the dojo on the corner
Mm-hmm.
that no one goes to, where the little old man sits there and smokes cigarettes all day because no one wants to come in the door, and study from him. He's the one you want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take you 10 times as long, but you'll be 100 times more powerful.
Exactly.
You know, hard work, perseverance is a must. You can't have, you can't be in this path without blood, sweat, and tears, man. And I mean literal blood and literal sweat and literal tears
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to the extremities.
Mm-hmm.
To the extremities, man.
Yeah. Injury is like an incense to improvement.
Yeah, man. Um,
Within reason, of course.
I don't know if it's a tangent or not, but I find sleep deprivation is extremely beneficial, especially for the neophytes and in the beginning stages, to get your mind completely twisted and messed up and lucid.
Yeah, it bridges that gap between the conscious and the unconscious.
Sleep deprivation is really good. Really good.
Within moderation, of course. Balance.
No, 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 no. Yeah, absolutely. Again, balance. There has to be balance. Diet is very important.
Yes. Nutrition is huge.
The saying your body's a temple is 100% correct.
Exactly.
You wanna put shit in your body. You're not gonna put anything positive out, man, and that includes your magic.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Myself personally, I do what's called extreme dieting. Okay. Whereas for a month or two, I'll be a complete carnivore. I won't eat anything but red meat. Nothing but red meat. No vegetables, no fruit, nothing. But I will have milk.
And is that based
I will.
on like seasons and cycles, like lunar cycles and things, or is that just based on
Not why.
intuition?
That's not why I do it. That's not why I do it.
How do you
I,
decide when to make the switches, though, I guess is what I'm asking. Just intuition.
there's no specific timing, man. There's no regiment to it per se. I've organised no like specific. All right, now fuck it. Tomorrow I'll go
So
carnivore again.
it's about breaking complacency somewhat.
Yeah,
Okay.
and breaking the normality in the system
Okay.
and there's a word like we use to explain it,
Like
but I can't use
routine,
it.
routine and regimen.
It keeps you off balance and it keeps you. I'm trying to be really tactful.
Nimble, agile.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. Okay, let's go with that. Let's go with that. But then I'll go complete vegan
Hmm.
for a couple of months. I mean, extreme vegan for a couple of months. It's to throw my body cycle out all the time as well. It's to keep me off whack. There's reasons and purposes behind that that I don't want to get into on camera, but it's to create. It's to create and to keep the alchemical change in your body
Aha.
for a specific purpose.
Yes.
Okay. And that's why I do it. And then I'm a big believer in fasting, in intermittent fasting.
Same. Same.
Um, I will fast at least twice a week. But when I mean fast, I'm meaning a proper fast. I'm meaning like what the Muslims do, man, hardcore. From when the sun comes up, nothing goes in your mouth, not a drop of water, not a drop of food, not a cigarette, not a bong hit. Nothing touches your lips until the sun sets. It's hardcore, man. It's hard. I ain't gonna lie. Especially if you live in countries where you got like fucking long ass days in summer and shit, like in Australia.
Yeah.
In
And a,
summer.
and a bakery down the street where you can smell that wonderful smell of fresh baked bread.
It's hard, man.
It can be.
So
Yeah.
I do that twice a week as well. I do that twice a week.
Okay. Yeah, I fast in the mornings where I'll only have water or tea until around noon,
Yeah,
and then I'll have something like
even half
celery and
day
hummus.
fast is good. Half day fasting's even very good for you, man.
Mhm.
Half day fasting. Like have breakfast and only have water or black tea until dinner time. But have breakfast, you know, because your brain needs to think as well. Your brain needs to focus. Okay, so that sort of fasting shouldn't be done if you're going to school, if you're studying, um, or you have employment where it's just you can't do it properly. You know, like Muslims struggle during Ramadan with it, but you become used to it. It's not easy though, man. It's not
Mhm.
like Christians when they fast for Lent and shit, man, where they can still drink water and have whatever. They just can't eat meat and shit. No, that's not fasting, man. That's called selective choice. That's selective choice. But next question.
One moment. Okay, so next question, I suppose, would be about entities and deities. You've mentioned Kali and Ganesha and Elizabeth and Vlad. Are there any other currents or entities or deities that you feel have sort of propelled you forward in your magical career?
Maribus, especially,
Oh, Marbus. Yes, yes, thank you.
extremely important. Um, I've always felt a connection to Lilith, Lilitu.
Okay.
Um, there's a lot of individual jinn work.
Hmm. Yeah, so do you work with like the Jinn Kings or just like independent spirits within the tribe of the Jinn?
Kind of all the above, man.
Okay,
My specialty is capturing them.
okay. And what does that entail? Can you describe that process? Um, what that looks like for you individually? Like,
Making a
is it like a
really
bottle?
long,
Like, is there a ritual for that? Go ahead.
I'll give you a really simplistic one,
Okay,
but I will be I'll leave one element out of it,
sure,
okay?
sure.
Because I don't want fucking idiots and muppets trying to play around with something that they shouldn't be playing around with, okay?
Perhaps we'll have a private discussion later.
No, but basically, again, the smoke
Hmm.
is essential to attract them.
Okay.
The same setup as I performed before,
Hmm.
on a bare minimalistic approach I'm talking about, is all you would need. If you want to capture one, you need a vessel. Okay. This can be a jar. This can be a lantern from Aladdin. This could be a ring. This is usually what I will use is a ring. Stones. In particular, I like to work with a stone called Akik. In English, it's translated as carnelian.
Interesting.
That's my stone that I choose to work with. Or I wear sapphire only out of respect and love for Kali.
Hmm.
But my gin work, I use carnelian.
I like to use smoky
Uh,
quartz. I've got this smoky quartz skull here that I've personally used that has been pretty effective. And it's interesting because the smoke aspect of the smoky quartz.
Absolutely, man. That would be a nice vessel for using for gin work, actually, man.
Hmm.
That'd be very nice. I could even potentially help teach you how to use it for some gin work at some stage.
I'd like that.
Um, they're very simple to work, but to capture them first, you have to be able to trick them.
Hmm.
This is the hardest part
Right.
because
They're very clever.
these man, these bastards, they're the masters of deception. They're the masters of being shysters, man. Like they invented the art of being a shyster. They're fucking shifty as hell, man. You can't trust them. Even the good ones, you can't trust them.
Hmm.
Okay. So first, you have to learn how to trick one, and then it basically, essentially, there's certain things that you will do that I'll remove from the subject now, from the I'll, and they will enter, and they will be subservient to you. They can live in that realm, that vessel, and you won't harm them. But they need to work for you when you need them to. They become like little servants. But the problem is when you can't just be selective when you want to say, all right, I just want this one particular type of jinn from this one particular tribe. No, because when you light that smoke, the motherfuckers come from everywhere, man. They're all over the place. You don't know what you're getting, man. It's like soup. It's like Heinz 57 soup, man. You get fucking 57 varieties of fucking gin coming at once. If
Perhaps
you don't know
there's, sorry, just thinking off the top of my head, but perhaps you could carve a sigil out of a piece of wood and allow the smoke to pass through that sigil, the sigil representing a certain tribe or type of jinn?
there are certain sigils for
Okay.
certain gins. There are. I was trying to keep some of that out of it.
Sorry. Sorry.
But yeah, no, there are certain sigils for
Okay.
certain gins and certain tribes of gins. And there's many, 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 countless races of gins.
Sure.
They're not like us, but they share this causal world with us.
Hmm.
Okay. But the thing is, they have the ability to be in the acausal also,
Right.
whereas we don't have that ability. We don't have that ability. Um, there's Muslim jinn, there's Christian jinn, there's Hindu jinn, there's Luciferian jinn, there's Babylonian jinn, Sumerian jinn, African jinn, you name it. There's good jinn, there's bad jinn, there's evil jinn, there's holy jinn. They're like human. They're kind of similar to us, man. They come in all varieties, many different races. Most of them are shapeshifters. Most of them have shape-shifting ability. So you can't trust them either. If you're doing jinn work and you see things such as a black dog, that's a very good sign. You're having progress. You're having progress.
Does that relate
And
to
there's a
Iblis at all, or is that something else?
that's a bit that no, that's something else.
I've often heard that Iblis will manifest to some as a black hound.
Yeah, no, that's actually the jinn.
Okay.
Shaitan Iblis himself is a jinn.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Iblis himself is a jinn. He was the first of the, no, he wasn't even necessary. Yeah, he was the first of the jinn.
I could see that.
He was the first of the jinn. He was the first of the jinn. And and then he wouldn't submit to Adam. So he was cast down to earth.
Hmm.
Unlike the Christian version where he was an angel cast down. He was a jinn, and he was the most holiest of all creations that lived in heaven with God, with Allah. And he was the most loyal servant out of even all the angels. But he created Adam. And he's like, what the fuck you create him for, man?
Or why
Basically.
did you make me subservient to them,
Yeah.
perhaps?
And there is no way in hell you made us. Look at what you create, and you created this, and
Mhm.
you want me to bow to this? I'm sorry, but I can't do it. So for his arrogance, he was cast out. They call it arrogance. I call it free will,
Mhm.
if you want to come from that approach. So the jinn, yeah, you can't trust the motherfuckers though, man. I've done a lot of work with a lot of jinn over the years, man. And I've seen a lot of people with jinn. Hundreds. Literally. And out of all of them, maybe 10 of them were real. At most.
What do you mean by real?
That actually had jinn inside them.
Okay, I see what you mean. So people pretending or delusional was the majority of the cases?
Most of it, majority of it is lies for attention because they want to either look cool, seem cool, edgy, or they want or need the attention for some reason. Okay, they're missing or they're lacking something, so they want the attention. It's a
Right,
lie. The other portion, large portion of it, is cultural ingrained superstition,
right.
conditioning of superstition. Okay. Then the other portion of it is mental health.
Hmm.
A majority of it was always mental health, in my experience.
Right.
Was usually mental health. And I'd be up front, I'd walk into a room and I'd see them, and I'd know within 10 seconds if it was real or not.
You can feel their presence etherically and perhaps even perceive them astrally as well if you are trained to do so.
Yeah. But you have to deal with the patient or this person with respect.
Hmm.
You can't say, all right, you're a fucking lunatic, man. Because this person may actually believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you try to encourage him to go to the doctor and to get some mental health checks and then come back to me.
Hmm.
Yeah. With the guys that'll help you later. You don't help them later, but you try to point them in a direction to get some mental health help because that's usually what the case is. Very
So,
rarely will they actually enter a human being. They have no need to,
mhm,
unless they've been given to you as a hex or a curse.
right. So I'm wondering where you stand currently on the notion of different jinn being associated with different celestial bodies, like Ra's al Ghul, the head of the demon, the Star al Ghul. There are like in some traditions they talk about the seven jinn kings being associated with the seven planets, like Shamhorash and Jupiter, and what is it, Al Abyad and the moon. Um,
Hebdomadry.
Say that again.
Hebdomadry.
Hedometry.
Hebdomadry.
Hebdometry. Okay.
It was even practiced by the ancient Greeks. That's where it all came from.
Okay.
It's actually a very powerful magic. And I'm fascinated with it and I'm fascinated by it. But
Hebdometry.
it's something,
Is that it?
yeah, it's called hebdomadry.
Okay.
Offline, I can give you a few directions.
Okay. I'd
Uh,
like that. Thank you.
um, basically, it was started by the Greeks, man. Yeah, like you
That makes
said,
sense.
Jupiter, the
Hmm.
7 planets, Hebdo, Scepter,
Yeah.
7.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, I even have. Where is it, man? I have a painting because I do painting. I got a painting somewhere here of the hebdomadry tree of life,
Interesting. Okay.
but I can't find it at the moment. But I can show it to you at
I'd like
it
that.
offline when I find it. Um, but back to your point, yes, absolutely. Asuras, jinns, tiploths are associated with planetary alignments. And astrology is an aspect that's very real and legitimate But when I say astrology, I'm not talking about picking up Clio magazine and reading what your horoscope is for the
Horoscopes,
day.
yeah, yeah.
No, no, that is just nonsense for fucking imbeciles.
So it's more for meditation and enlightenment than predicting the future and things like that. Probably similarly to tarot being used as a tool for meditation and path working and spell work as opposed to like, telling whether or not
When
somebody.
you yeah, absolutely, and when you absolutely, but when you become more experienced,
Right. Exactly.
it also becomes also a part of your astral work.
I agree 100%.
Okay, but that's a very, very complex fucking
Yeah.
subject. That's huge subject, man. Massive subject. But yeah, check out hebdometry, man.
I will. I've made a note of it.
It's
So,
basically very similar to what the Kabbalahs use with the 9,
mhm.
but it's 7 instead. The Vedic calendar has 9, not 7. Usually it's 9. There was a gentleman by the name of David Mayotte.
Sounds familiar.
He was obsessed with hebdometry. But I won't say any more about him.
Okay, fair enough. So I mentioned the Star of Al Ghul and Ra's al Ghul, the demon's head. How do you think people started associating celestial bodies with like maleficent entities? Is there any basis in that in your experience, or where does that come from?
Wow, that's deep. Absolutely no, that absolutely there is.
Okay.
In my opinion, um, take a look at Marbus, for example.
Yes, good example. Yeah.
But let's look at him. The body of a man. Okay. So it symbolizes mortality and weakness.
Hmm.
Okay. But yet, he's strong. He's got the body of a god. Yeah.
And the fierce head of a
So,
lion in many
so
aspects.
his body projects strength. Then when you put the head of a lion, what's that? That's ferocity, that's strength, that's fear, that's ferociousness, that's empowerment. So there's definitely elements as to behind why. And why does he carry the toad?
To me, it represents the amphibious nature of being able to go submerged into the unconscious, but also onto the land of consciousness.
Thank you. Yeah, you're onto your shit, man. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. That's good, man. Very good. Very good. We can
I
maybe
very much I love symbolism, and I try to study symbolism in every tradition that I can.
absolutely. I'm obsessed with symbolism as well. Like, what's the sigil for this god look like? Or
Uh-huh.
what's the image for this god like? I find some I don't know, some new Japanese Shinto demon,
Mhm.
for example. And I'm like, fuck, what's his image meant to look like? What's he look like? Or does he have a sigil? Does he have an image? Does he have a sim? Yeah, I'm very much into that. Excuse me.
Mhm.
And in the early days, they can play a very huge role in increasing your inspiration. It
Yes.
helps increase your inspiration
Right.
until you develop that relationship. They're tools.
Mhm.
So symbolism is very important. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I will say it's very important,
I always liked
especially in the early
the
days.
Sumerian deity it's like Ioannis, which was like half man, half fish. That was always a very interesting symbol to me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Another great one. Um, so yeah, symbolism is very important.
Okay. Now, when you consider all of the places that you've been, you mentioned America and Australia and several places in the Middle East. Out of all of those places, where was the practice of like occult ritual the most widely accepted? Would that be Kashmir as well?
Ooh. The lefter side of things,
Yeah,
openly, very
mhm.
taboo everywhere.
Sure, sure,
In the Muslim world, very taboo.
sure.
So extremely hard to find the left-hand side of it. It's all done very privately.
Right. Probably for good reasons, honestly.
It's all done very secretly.
Mhm.
And like I said to you earlier, there's a lot of trust.
Right.
That teacher needs to trust you with his life.
That makes sense.
And in return, you need to be able to trust him with your life. It's a complete submittance,
Right.
a complete submittance of removal of ego and trust and honor. Essentially, that's what it is.
Mm.
And he will give you sadhanas like recitations, mantras to do each day, and practices, and daily litanies, etc. And you build and you build and you build. And the more you become close to him, and you cure yourself and you crush yourself and your ego, the more in return he'll love you. But the teacher's love isn't hugs and kisses. A teacher's love is often scolding you and harding you in tough love. My teacher in Turkey was extremely tough, extremely difficult, extremely tough. His regiment and routine was designed to just break you. Whereas my teacher in Kashmir was the complete he was all about love and happiness and kicking back and laughing and being with the people. There's different methods and different paths for different intentions they're trying to preach. Um, Maybe my teacher saw in me that I needed strictness and harshness, so that's how he treated me.
Yeah.
But I know he loved me. A father's love or a maternal love isn't always hugs and kisses. It's discipline, it's training, it's teaching you manners, it's teaching you respect, courtesy, discipline, kindness, teaching you to be a man. And that's what your teacher teaches you to be, but in the spiritual path. But in the regards to the left-hand path, it's very hard to find openly. Very
Right.
hard. It's very secretive in the Muslim world. Even punishable by death in the majority of opinions by Muslims. They call it sihr, kufr,
Hmm.
haram,
Hmm.
haram, haram.
As
But
opposed to halal.
everything's haram to a Muslim, man. That's haram. You can't do that. That's haram. That's haram. That's haram. Haram, haram. The West, haram. Fuck you, haram, man. I was raised as a Muslim, man.
Okay.
One of the most last week, even it was last week, even after all my years and all my practices and everything I do. Last week, for the very first time, I ate pork.
Okay.
Now, why did I do it? It was symbolic. Back to symbolism.
Mhm.
I was breaking that fucking chain.
Right.
Yeah. I was breaking that chain.
Yeah. That's very interesting. To me, pork is a very draconic animal. They're said to sleep and root in their own feces. But to me, that's that cycle, you know, within that feces is a fertilizer. And so to me, I always thought it was interesting that
There's a purpose to them regardless.
right. But
They're an animal.
I always thought that it was interesting that pork was considered so dirty because I used to work on a farm. And to me, chickens are the dirtiest animals. They literally pick through
Oh, they're
each other's
disgusting.
shit. They eat each other's shit and then shit it back out, and then they'll eat the corn out of that shit and shit it back out over and over and over and over. Pigs don't
They're
do
disgusting.
anything like that.
No, they're disgusting.
Yeah,
But I ate it out of rebellion just to break
sure.
that cycle,
Yeah,
that final cycle that was still that one thing. I didn't care about Islam for years. I didn't give a fuck about any of it. I was
but that was
practicing the
still buried deep down, though, right?
again, it was that buried in there, ingrained into me,
Mm.
and I had to break it, and I broke it, and I loved it, man. Fuck, pork tastes
So, did you
good.
have bacon? Did you have a pork chop? What'd you have?
I had pork chops, man,
I thought something said pork chop. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
and then I knew to put applesauce on it for some reason, so I put applesauce on it. Maybe it's an Australian or a British influence thing.
Well, I'm thinking the garden, you know, the apple. It's often described as an apple. It was probably, if it was anything, it was probably a pomegranate or a mushroom or something. But in Western culture, the apple is very symbolic of knowledge and forbidden wisdom. So it's very fitting.
And man, it tastes good.
Yeah, it does. I
Tastes
love pork.
real
They
good.
say that human tastes like pork as well. So that's kind of interesting.
So I'm gonna try bacon next.
Brother, you're going to love it. Bacon
I'm
is
gonna try
dangerous.
bacon. Yeah.
It's dangerous.
I think I got a new addiction. I think I might have a new addiction once I start bacon.
Yeah, you gotta balance and moderation, right? My grandpa used to say, moderation in all things, even moderation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Next question, brother.
When you reflect over the last 30 years of your practice, or maybe even the last 45 years of your existence, what's the biggest mistake that you've made?
Ooh, biggest mistake I've made. In my early days, when your ego's involved
Pride. Yeah,
and you still have inexperience, you make mistakes.
sure. Hmm.
So that comes from trial and error, and that's all a part of the path.
Right.
Okay, it's a part of
Right.
the learning experience. But I would say that's where most of my mistakes have come from, like my
Ignorance.
inexperience,
Okay.
correctness when I was younger,
Okay.
like an ego was still involved because I want to be this big dark black magician, and I can be this big fucking black priest and all this sort of fucking ego. No, 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 no. You're delusional. You got to get rid of all of that.
Right.
Then your magic will come to fruition.
Right. Okay.
Uh,
So arrogance
yeah,
and ignorance, perhaps.
yeah.
Okay.
There haven't really been a whole lot of mistakes. Like, there's been shit like where I've fucked up when I was younger, not knowing what I was doing, and I attracted some jinn, and then I didn't know what the jinn was, and I couldn't get rid of it properly, and things like that. But mishaps, yeah, I bet a lot of mishaps along the roads, but not really many mistakes because they're trial and error.
Right. Right.
Mistakes are learning tools, man, if used properly.
Sure. And what are some fundamental, um, either films or literature or musical projects that you think are very inspirational or have a great degree of wisdom to them, just off the top of your head?
There's a few books I highly encourage reading.
Okay.
One is the Quran. One is the First Testament.
Like the Old Testament and the Christian Bible?
The Old Testament.
Okay.
Yes, correct. Which is referred to also as the Torah.
Yeah, or the Tanakh. Hmm. Okay.
Um,
The Mahabharata, perhaps, and Vedic
Absolutely.
scriptures.
I was trying to remember the name again.
I heard it.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's another one. Um, if people are interested in vampirism and things like that, I highly suggest some of the early works of Michael W.
Hmm.
Ford. I'll
Hmm.
say it again, Michael W. Ford. He's actually fantastic. He has a very Luciferian approach,
Hmm.
but
Certainly.
his work on vampirism and stuff is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. He's, in my opinion, he's probably among the best to read from. Um, some of the books by the Draken Covenant.
I've got this Akakaru book
Yeah.
by Michael Ford, and it, even if you don't agree with everything that's in there, it's a great template to work with,
Yes,
build your own system.
exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. And he himself never says this is the way. This is my way.
Right.
That's what he said. Like, he never says this is the way. Like, he only says this is my way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The thing about
And
that
that's the
is,
what.
like, if you disagree with somebody, then that gives you information on what you agree with and what you think you should be doing.
Well, yeah. And sharing knowledge is tremendous.
Yes, definitely.
Other books to read. The Art of War.
That as well. Yeah. The Book of Five Rings, The Art of War. Certainly.
Um, I love Lovecraft.
I love, yeah, I've got some of his works as well. I love H.P. Lovecraft. He was a mad genius, wasn't he?
That gentleman was an absolute fucking madman. He was a lunatic, 100% certifiable madman,
Mhm.
and he was notorious for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and he would jump around all over the fucking place. Now, he was a very enlightened man.
Mhm.
He was a man that was in touch with the causal, in touch with the causal. His stories were written in two ways. Now, this is my opinion.
Mhm.
They were written as science fiction fantasy novels. Okay. That was a rouge. For the aware,
Uh-huh.
not the awakened, but for the aware, there were stories of his travels in the causal.
Hmm.
And look at the gods, and look at what's come from his mythos.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Look what he started.
Hmm.
The Necromonicon. Is it a fanciful No. No, the Necromonicon's real. But you got to remember they're written by a madman in ways that only educated people will understand them.
It was probably for his own safety that he sold it as fantasy. Otherwise, he
Absolutely
would
it
have been
was.
thrown in a straitjacket.
Absolutely it was. Absolutely. But it was his way of spreading the message. You know,
Absolutely.
it was his way of spreading the message. So yeah, I love Lovecraft. Anything by Lovecraft. I love J.R. Tolkien as well. But in regards to the occult,
What about like the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali or Patanjali? Is that something you're familiar with?
I basically didn't put it there. Whatever you want to read, read.
Sure. Okay.
If
Fair
it
enough.
attracts you, read it. That's something that's lost is books, man.
I
Read,
yeah.
read, 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 read. Oh, here, read this. I don't want to fucking read that. It's on a computer screen. I want to open the book and smell the pages. I
Yes.
want to smell that bound leather. I'm a bookbinder by trade. So
Interesting.
I want to smell that leather.
Yeah.
I want that gold bound leafing, like I want a book,
Yeah.
man. I want a fucking book, dude.
I agree. I if I can only find a book in like PDF or on the internet, I will actually print it out and make it to where I can actually read it because I love the feeling of having the book in my hand. It's emanating its vibration like a crystal or like incense into the room, and you
There's
absorb.
definitely power in it.
Yeah.
There's definitely power, especially in a book that's like a grimoire that's been hand bound,
Hmm. Absolutely. The intention is yeah.
hand sewn,
Hmm.
all that. And this is what I actually specialized in as a trade,
Interesting.
is the leather binding, hand sewing, all the gold embroidery, all the gold leaf work.
Like illumination and stuff. Yeah.
We used to do most of our work was actually for the national and the state library and the museums
In
doing
Australia
restoration.
or
Yeah, man.
cool.
Doing restorational works for historical books. We'd even get books come from overseas. We had a Bible that was over 3,000 years old.
Wow.
I came in the shop, man, and my boss wouldn't let me anywhere fucking near it. He's like, there's no way you're going anywhere near that. I'm like, why? And he's like, because you're a stoner, you're not going anywhere near it. And I remember, man, he had to completely clean out the whole shop, right?
Hmm.
And over the weekend, he had to make it completely pristine. No dust in there anywhere. Like a science lab, man. And with cotton gloves, he had to touch it and do it all and refix it, man. It was
Yeah, like the
amazing.
cotton gloves.
Yeah, man. And I couldn't even sit in oxygen for too long because the paper would just turn to fucking, it'd corrode. So you had time periods, you had to work really, really, really fast so they could put these pages and documents back in their encasements. The oldest Quran I've seen was written about 100 years after the time of Muhammad. So we're talking about 1,400 years old.
It's a long time ago.
Nearly one. Yeah. I saw that in a museum. And it had Prophet Muhammad's turban next to it. I actually got arrested in the museum. I almost went to fucking prison in Pakistan for it. Because I took photography of it.
Hmm.
And photography over there was forbidden. And I didn't know. It was just, I was very lucky that my traveling partner was very well connected. I can't get into that, but
No
so
worries.
I didn't go to prison, but I was very lucky, man. Very, very lucky. It was quite scary. Can you imagine being in a
I
Pakistani
can't
prison?
imagine. No.
Fuck that, man. Fuck that, man. That like, nah, man. Like that's worse than facing any abyss with any kiploth you can imagine, man. Like, so, but books, read whatever you want to read, man, because whatever you want to
Sure.
read, your mind is, something's attracted you to it, okay?
Yes.
Something's attracted you to it. And
Yeah.
you don't always know necessarily what that is. That book might be full of garbage, but you don't know. But that next book might be full of something that has 101 wisdoms in it.
Hmm.
And the next 10 books have nothing. And then that one book that will change your life completely,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. Um, I've a great book of mine is Mein Kampf
Hmm.
by Adolf Hitler.
Right.
Okay. Not
Well,
because I respect the gentleman, okay? I'll make it clear I'm not a racist. But his mind is just fascinating.
he seemed very inspired, even if delusionally. Oftentimes, the madness of inspiration can lead to truths every once in a while. I'm
Same
sure
with
there's,
Mussolini. Same with Mussolini.
sure,
Same with
or
Mussolini.
Karl Marx, perhaps. Now, I'm not,
Stalin.
yeah, I'm not a
Mark.
Marxist or a Nazi or a fascist, but I think there is some wisdom to be had everywhere, and fragments, perhaps.
Communism's beautiful on paper. Yeah, but the problem is again ego, the ego, the ego, the ego. So communism can never work.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
they
but it,
try to make,
yeah,
and then they try to make a fanciful version of it. Let's
right.
call it socialism. Yeah. So it doesn't have the stigma. All right. So we'll put lipstick on a pig and we'll call it socialism. It's the same shit, just a different smell.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
No, I'm
So,
not about any of that shit either, man.
mm,
I'm against any political party, any political alignment, any of that. Like I'm anti-politics. If anything, I guess you could call me an accelerationist and an anarchist.
an
I'm a political
evolutionist,
view,
perhaps. Hmm.
an evolutionist, but I'm not practicing in any formal way. Like politics isn't my thing, man. I rather just focus on me and me trying to be with Carly.
Right. Right.
That's all and my family and being the best man that I can be.
I respect that. Yeah, there seems like there's a lot of responsibility
I
in that.
don't need to swallow this nonsense that goes on in the world.
Right. Yeah.
I don't need to be woke. I don't need you to tell me what I need to be. I'm allowed to form my own opinions. As long as I'm still human in the core, you know what I mean? And you have basic core values. I'm allowed to think whatever the fuck I want to think. So are you, dude. I don't need you to tell me I have to be woke or what woke even is. You know, why do we even need to have labels for any of these things anymore?
Right.
I don't know. It's lost me, man.
So coming back to Kali, I wonder if you have any experience with near death experiences or out of body experiences related to things. Okay, would you like to talk about that or?
Maribus.
Okay, all right.
Hmm.
Seems like I struck a chord there.
I was on a dark path. And some of the gods that I was turning to were telling me to commit ritual suicide.
Uh-huh.
So I went to my cemetery, which we've spoken about. I went to my cemetery. And I ate a whole bunch of mushrooms. Do you know anything about mushrooms?
I've got some right there in that cabinet. I've got some golden teachers and some MVPs. That's
So
actually,
you
I
know
was
about
drinking some mushroom tea, actually.
microdosing.
I do, yes. Yep.
Okay. And you know about macrodosing.
I certainly do. Yes, I once ate half an ounce of mushrooms in the period of about 3 hours.
How much did you eat?
14 grams.
Half ounce.
Mhm.
I ate 3 ounces.
That's insane. That's almost unbelievable, frankly.
Let me finish though. Let me finish. Let me finish. Because there is a story to it.
Yeah, please continue.
And I ate a bunch of fentanyl.
Aha.
And I decided to do this ritual suicide at the cemetery. And I turned into a lion. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I had no real. Anyway. And I'm digging up this grave. A fresh grave. I'm about 2 or 3 feet deep into it. My wife's noticed I was missing, so she's called my friend. My friend knows I like to hang out in the cemetery, so he's come to the cemetery to look for me. And lo and behold, he's found me. And I'm in this grave. And Maribus comes to me. And he's like, it's not your time. I'm making a real long story short, okay? Basically, essentially, he told me it's not my time.
Mhm.
But you have a journey that you have to travel. And he took me by my hand. And we travelled all through the causal, all through the astral, and he showed me many, many things, okay? Then I started to come through. I started like banging in and out like an electrical current.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
be conscious,
Oh yeah.
and then my electrical current would shut down and I'd black out.
Right. Yep.
And then bang, 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 and I'd be
Yep.
flashing in and out.
Yep.
And every time I'd flash out, I'd flash into a new realm.
Yeah.
I'd be in a different
Yes.
realm.
Yep.
Okay. And it was all happening like this. My friend thought I was having seizures. So he rushed me to the hospital.
He made.
Cemetery was under
Yeah.
the cemetery was under fucking camera surveillance.
Mhm.
And he rushed me to the hospital anyway. Long story short, they fucking ran the license plates and they caught up with me at the police station. At the hospital. They had to lock me away in a psych ward to recover for 3 days. That's how long my trip lasted for. 3 days. I was a complete fucking lunatic, man. And they had video cameras of me, man. The entire time I'm crawling around the place like I'm a lion. I'm a lion. And my mum's in the room with me, man, and I'm clawing at her. And she's like asking me who I am. And I'm like, I'm not telling you. You're not worthy. You're not worthy. And I look like a fucking lunatic. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Finally, I come through, and I'm in a reasonable condition, and the police officers come in. Making a long story short, I was booked for grave desecration,
Okay, that makes sense.
vandalism, and
And to all of them, you
intoxication.
were just some crazy loon on drugs who didn't know what he was doing. And little did they know you were having an experience that was very
Absolutely.
spiritual.
And they're like, we don't know what to do with you because it's a criminal offense. I was on probation.
Ah, so you violated your probation too.
So I was looking at time.
Right.
Just looking at time. And they're like, we don't know what to do with you.
Well, I saw your tattoo that you had here. I was wondering if that's where you got that.
And I've been incarcerated before.
Okay.
And long story short, they put me in a mental correctional facility. A mental correctional facility.
Mhm.
I was only released 3 months ago.
Okay. So this was somewhat recently then.
The event itself, the suicide ritual itself, took place about 6 months ago.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. hmm hmm
um,
I see. Were those ritualistic as well, or were those antagonistic? If that's something you care to disclose, I understand that's a pretty personal question.
I want to answer it. I'm just trying to think if I can answer it tactfully.
Certainly feel free to move on if you wish.
Let's just say a little bit of both.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, they were earned. Yes, they're real. No, they're not fake. Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the Aboriginal people, and
Yeah.
I love that because that's not something that we've covered. And I actually play a bit of didgeridoo myself,
Oh, really? Wow, that's
and
pretty cool.
I've noticed when I'm in the throes of it, I often forget that I'm the one playing. And I have these experiences and dream times, so to speak, that is very, very powerful. It's an astral projection of sorts whenever I'm playing. And I didn't know if you
It
had
is a
any
projection.
experience.
Do you know why they used one of the reasons why they use the didgeridoo? It is to project.
Mhm.
Okay.
Certainly.
How do they get to that level and that plane?
Mhm.
Through a vibrational magic.
And rhythms, like polyrhythms. Well, you were talking about coming in and out. That's what happens when I'm playing Dig. Is I'm yeah.
Man, it's vibrational, man.
Oh yeah. And it's very diaphragmatic. So it's like there's pranayama happening as well.
And what you're doing is basically blowing into a radio tuner, man, and you're tuning
Yes.
in.
Yes.
They're highly spiritual, intelligent people, the Aboriginals in Australia, man. They have a lot of bad rap. They have a lot. Oh wow, that's cool, man.
This is actually Eucalyptus mali. It came from Australia itself. For those of you who don't know what a didgeridoo is, I'm not sure how this will come across in the recording, but basically you blow.
Oh wow, you're pretty good at it too, dude. You're better than me, man.
I've been playing for a few years, but it's a meditation tool that I
Cool, man.
use.
All right, now I'll tell you something. Eucalyptus mali, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The mali is not too far from me.
Okay. Very
Okay.
cool.
So the eucalyptus for that tree was sourced. Let's say about a 3-hour drive from me.
Wow. Okay. Very
That's
interesting.
where that tree would have grown. Somewhere within that region. It's a region that's also very well known for cattle farming.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a saying out here, we have fit as a mallee bull.
Okay.
Okay, fit as a mallee bull, that means like if you're a bull from the mallee, all right, you're a big fit motherfucker, you're all
Yeah.
strong and shit. You know? Like it's just Australian, stupid Australian colloquial slang.
Okay. Awesome.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Perhaps
cool. That's cool. That's real cool.
perhaps I'll end this video with a bit more didgeridoo playing, and our audience can sort of meditate and listen and find their own dream time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, go for it, man. What
Um,
else is on the question list, my brother?
Last question. What are your plans for the near future as far as your practice goes? Anything that you can divulge?
I actually haven't thought about that for a long time.
That's
Give me
one
a
reason I like to
second.
ask it.
That's a very good question. It is a very good question. Fuck, it's a question I want to know. Let's have an answer. Let's think about it.
Very well. That's one reason I love to ask that question is so often we get caught up in what's going on right now. It can be really important to think about what's ahead.
At the moment, I'm using all of my magic to fight off other magic. Okay. I'm in a situation at the moment where I'm needing a lot of prayers and magic from other people. So anyone that's willing,
Certainly.
always willing for a prayer. Thank you.
Gotcha,
And
brother.
prayers out to every one of you too. But so all my magic's being harnessed at the moment, so I'm very weak and drained a lot at the moment.
Okay. So
Once I
cultivation,
get out,
perhaps. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, once I get out of that situation, I would like to put more efforts into my family life.
Okay.
Magical work, progression, man. Just progression. Just progression. We're not all going to become yogis and gurus, folks. Okay? So let's all stop pretending. Yeah? Let's all stop pretending.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be us. Just be who you are. I would like my magic to become a lot more holistic, so I can get more balance in my life, because I'm needing to find more balance, because my whole life has been in shadow. I'm starting to come out of the shadows now. I like to look into Buddhism a lot more
Okay.
in detail. I'd like to study a lot, and my plans are to try to study Sanskrit, which is not easy. The closest I'll be able to get to is learning Hindi,
Mm.
which is close enough. You can still get the basics. It's like if you know Arabic, you can still speak a little bit of Persian, and
Right.
vice versa,
Right.
you know. So Sanskrit's just the Vedic language. It just evolved into Hindi over time, into the Hindu, from the Hindu. Study. I'd like to study a lot more, man, because I'm in my older years now too. So I'm becoming a lot more sort of hippie-ish, I guess, too, in my old age. Like, I guess with age comes wisdom, they say. So maybe it's true. I'm settling down a lot more.
Mm. I'm glad to
I
hear that.
don't want the darkness. I don't want the darkness in my life anymore.
Mm.
I do want the darkness, don't get me wrong, but I want the balance.
Yes.
I'm only now in my old age really starting. I've always known and understood the need for the balance, but it's only really lately that I'm truly understanding and grasping it.
Yeah.
There has to be balance. There has to be balance, folks.
Yeah. Like, what are you only gonna inhale and never exhale?
Yeah, and I think people are caught up with this idea with the occult, unfortunately, that everything has to be dark and sinister and satanic-y and
Right.
fucking creepy, and that's not what the occult is. Maybe in closing, I'll end with the word occult, okay? Now, we have to understand it comes from Christian fucking Abrahamic nonsense again, the word, with the
Yeah.
Latins, okay?
Yeah.
With the
Occultare means hidden or to hide. So it has nothing to do with anything evil, just things that are hidden.
But basically, essentially, anything that didn't fit their mainstream
Right.
or their norm
Hmm.
was considered the occult, witchcraft, devil worship. So we're all labeled devil worshippers, with that sinister, demonized vibe to the term, feel to the term. Doesn't need to be that way, man. That's not what the occult is. The occult's freedom. The left-hand path truly is about freedom and individuality. For those that know the story between the sheep and the goat, be the goat, don't be the sheep. Azazel was the goat, but that's be Azazel, man. Be Azazel. Don't be the sheep, man. Think for yourself, dude. And Azazel actually has a lot of emphasis in some of the Sufi teachings,
Yeah.
especially the Shia Sufi teachings, the whole Azazel approach.
Yes.
And some even have the idea that Lilith was our mother and Azazel was our father, not Adam and Eve. And they bore Cain and they bore Abel, Cain, born from half demon. So what else was he to expect when he killed his brother? He's a fucking half demon, man. Yeah? So that whole pantheon began. Can we pause it just for 1 second?
Sure. Okay, so yeah, we were basically discussing the future plans of you settling down and, finding balance more in the future.
Well, I'm 45 now. My son's almost 18.
Okay.
I've got a very large house. Once he moves out and gets married or whatever, or within the next 10 years, I plan to sell my home and buy a small property, small acreage,
Hmm.
preferably in the mountains, but just some small acreage somewhere. Becomes what they call below-being, so self-sufficient. Grow my own food, my own fruit, my own veg, my own cattle. Live off the land, go off the grid, man,
Right.
and just focus on my magic. That's my plan. That's my intention. Move further out. I'm already way out, way out, but I want to move even more rural. Like completely rural.
That's where I am now, is way out in the middle of nowhere, and I absolutely love the peace that I get out here.
I couldn't dream of anything better, man.
Mhm.
Every opportunity I get, I go out into the woods, man, and I just sit there just so I can listen to nothingness.
Right.
That's my plan, man. I'd like to get my wife more involved.
Mhm.
I'd like to get my wife more involved, but she accepts it. She believes in it. Semi understands it, but she still has that taboo heebie-jeebiness, you know. Um, the only rule me and my wife really have is I'm not allowed to do any dark magic in the house.
Yeah.
Because I've done dark magic in the house before. And she used to pester me. Maybe we can close on this story.
Mhm.
And she would pester me and pester me and pester me. Show me a gin, babe. Show me a gin. Show me a gin, honey. Show me. No, 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 no. I'm not doing it. I refused to do it for a long time. Years, many years. I refused. Long story short, I caved one day, didn't I? And I'm like, okay. So I did a little ritual. Not too different from what I showed earlier. Same principle. And I held her by the hand. And it showed up before her. And I said, tell me what you see. And she explained it. She was looking at the same thing I was looking at. And it reached out to touch her, to take her hand. My wife was a fucking idiot, wasn't she? She reached out and she took its hand. And she was shown and given something so terrifying. that I'm not even going to talk about it. And she refused to have any part of it in the house again.
Yeah.
And it took me some time to get rid of that jinn. That jinn fell in love with my wife and had an obsession with my wife. And it was very difficult to get rid of.
I can
It was an
imagine.
ifrit. It was an ifrit. It
Aha.
was like it was the most evil, the most fucked up of the fucked up jinns. Like I said, sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get. Life's like a box of chocolates, and I got an
So,
ifrit, didn't I?
do you think your willingness to show her, and like you said, that capacity to cave perhaps was persuasion and influence from the jinn itself over time, like sort of wearing down your resolve?
It's highly possible.
Mhm.
It's highly possible. I haven't thought of it, but it's definitely possible. It's definitely it could have definitely been possible at the time. Um, but she just wanted, for some reason, she was just so insistent. That one day, she hounded me for years, but that one day she was just so insistent, and I caved. And she wants nothing to do with it in the house ever again. I'm allowed to do good rituals. I'm allowed to have Akali, and I'm allowed to do good magic and beneficial magic, but I'm not allowed to do anything dark in the house.
Mm.
And out of respect for her, I don't. I do it separately. I do it outside the house,
Right.
out of respect for her. Um, Scared the piss out of her. Horrible, horrible. It was like half bird, half human skeleton with flesh just dripping off its face. It was grotesque, disgusting. And it took some time to get rid of, man.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. I was able to get in touch with my teacher in Turkey at the time before he passed away, and he helped me get rid of it. And he helped me get rid of it. It was very traumatic, man. Even I was scared of this motherfucker. I'd seen the Ifrit and the Murray before, but this one was something special, I'll tell you what, man.
Mm.
Scared the hell out of me. I got many jinn in my house. I got many, many jinn in my house. I got hundreds of them. Most of them in rings. Occasionally, the one will come in my house and you'll see it in my house. Occasionally. Not very often. Usually they're just curious
Hmm.
because they know there's other jinn there, so they're curious. They want to know what's going on. Like, oh, other jinn are living here, man. What's going on here?
Yeah,
If
spirits
you
like
want
to
to look,
influence.
yeah, if you want to look for jinn, a great place to look for jinn is one, cemeteries,
Bathrooms, cemeteries. Yeah,
under trees.
interesting. Yeah,
Under
I could
trees.
definitely see that.
You want to piss off a jinn? Go take a leak on a tree.
Hmm.
Man, piss on the wrong tree. Jinn love to live under trees. But usually in very secluded areas like the woods and forests and things like that. Not just on the side of the road or your backyard where you need to piss so you take a whiz on a tree. No, usually you're fine. But trees, you want to attract the jinn? Bones,
Mhm.
um, feces, maggots, sexual fluids, especially sexual fluids, are highly important, highly beneficial. Anything that what they consider najasa impurities.
Right. Hmm.
will attract the jinn. Um, they're a wonderful creation and a wonderful. You can even use them for sexual purposes.
Like an incubus or a succubus.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, like a, yeah, exactly. What's another word for them? Like fuck, they live by the water, creeks and things like that.
Like a mermaid or like a what do they call those? A
A
selkie?
nymph,
A nymph, yeah.
a nymph. You can use them, and you can even summon them. I haven't been this successful, and to be honest, I haven't tried. I'm happily married, but I've known of people that have said that and I believe these people, they can summon them, and if they want, they can have sex with them, just like they would with a human being. And you can even breed with them.
I was gonna say offspring is a concern there.
You can breed with them. You can have half jinn and things like that. But they're very rare. They're very, very rare. I've never met one. I've never met one. But I know that they exist. But I've never met one. Um, the hardest problem with jinn work is if someone sent jinn and you got a problem with jinn is you have to find the source. That's the hardest part. Me, I'll give you a quick tip. When I do jinn work, if it's really dark jinn work and I can't have anyone find the source, I go out in my friend's fishing boat and we go out into the bay, into the ocean, about a 45-minute boat ride out into the middle of nowhere. And then you tie the sigil up into a rock or a brick and drop it over the edge. Who's ever going to find it?
That's what
No
Solomon
one's
did.
ever. Exactly. Exactly right, my friend. Exactly right, my friend. So that's what you have to find the source. That's very difficult. That's very difficult. Um, most jinn work is very superstitious, and you can feed off it as well. But most of it's bullshit and mental health, my friend.
Yeah,
Most of
that's
it's
what I've
mental
noticed as
health
well.
issues. And you go to India, you go anywhere, you go all over the world, man, the people have these problems. Mostly it's mental health issues.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, many countries aren't equipped, adept, or even care about mental health, so. And then they hold on to superstition for hope and religion as hope, you know, and
Hmm.
it becomes very dangerous. And when the occult and superstition becomes combined, it becomes very volatile.
Yeah, yeah.
It can become very volatile. It can become
Yes.
very volatile. Um, but yeah, I'd really like to state very clearly that the world of the occult is not all about darkness. It's not all about living in the shadows. It's not at all about the Kiploth and following Cain and Azarath or following Atazoth and Shagura or Azanajin or following fucking whatever it may be. Always keep your mind open.
Mhm.
Always keep your mind open to new things. There's always a knowledge out there that you don't know and try and find it. the only stupid question ever. The only
It's not
stupid
asked.
question is the question, the one that does not get asked.
Exactly.
There are no stupid questions, man, in this journey. And liberation, you need to be free,
Mhm.
not inhibited, so you're not embarrassed to ask questions, because there's a lot of sexual magic. Yeah, there is a lot of sexual magic. And it's very powerful magic.
Yes.
But
Well,
in
magic
regards
in
to
and of
that,
itself is somewhat sexual.
I only allow, endorse, courage, preach, teach sexual magic between two consenting partners
Mhm.
that are both absolutely know what they're doing and are
Right.
both willing in on it together.
Right.
And in my maybe old school opinion, in a relationship, I do believe that's important, to have a spiritual connection partner. And if that can be also your witchcraft partner, that's even better. I don't have that, but I wish I did. I wish I did. But my wife's pretty cool with it. She just wants no part of it. And that's cool with her.
Right.
She's on her own path. She's very much a Sufi.
Mhm. Okay.
But she's also a Hindu as well, she's combined. But there's no left hand with her anywhere.
Ah,
Okay, there's no left hand side to her in any shape or form, in any way. There's no left hand path.
mm.
We're completely chalk and cheese. She's the yin to my yang.
I've never heard that expression, chalk and cheese. Interesting.
Oh, maybe it's an Australian thing.
It might be.
Maybe it's got to be an Aussie thing. But she's the yin to my yang,
Mhm.
you know. So even politically, man, she's a fucking outright left wing hippie.
Is she?
Whereas I'm a conservative, sort of. You know what I mean? I'm in my values and morals. Whereas she's an outright liberal. She's woke. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I don't even like that word in my house. Like, woke.
Mm.
This word's just bullshit, man. Sexuality's huge in our world as well, in our path.
Mhm.
Um, that's a whole huge different subject in itself, though.
Perhaps next time, if you don't mind, perhaps in a couple months or a year or something, we could have you back on and we could see how
I
your
would
path
love that, man.
has
It's
progressed.
been a great opportunity for me. I appreciate it. And it's been opening for me too, because I've tried to answer every question as absolutely possible as I could. And I've tried to let myself be open and vulnerable.
I appreciate that. I think a lot
So
of people can
because
learn from that.
opportunities, like, you need to teach any opportunity that's given to you, even a sharing opportunity, as a learning moment,
Mhm.
okay? And learn from it. And we had a great discussion early, and that resonated me all fucking day. And I was amazed by it. I was like, there's something with this fella. I don't know him from a bar of soap. He just hit me up on Instagram, but there's something about him.
I appreciate that.
He's no, I know. There's You're on a good path, my friend. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, man, because it's working for you. It's
Thank you
working
very
for you.
much.
I can see it. I can see it.
Thank you very
And
much.
I thank you for the opportunity, and I apologize for boring everybody, but
Not at all.
yeah.
We covered a lot of very interesting and uncovered topics in this discussion. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your
Most
your
welcome.
honesty.
It's now, we started at 12, it's now 3 a.m. So I'm going to get some sleep because I've got to be up at 5.
Oh boy. Well, rest
Yeah,
well, and
I
I
will.
wish you well.
I will. I will. Thank you all kindly, and yeah, look after yourselves.
Yes, we'll keep in touch. Okay.
We will, my friend. We will. Look after yourself. Thank you for the
Cool.
opportunity.
Be safe.
How do I block out of this now? I don't know how to do this because I'm completely uneducated in
I can just kick you out if you want.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Just do that.
All right, I will talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right. And for anyone who's interested, I promised a little bit of didgeridoo to meditate with. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're not interested, if you are, yeah, stick around. Take care.